Hey, what's up, everybody? You're watching The Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith, joined today by a World Series champ and a Cy Young winner, Sabathia. CC, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So you put together a great documentary, Under the Grapefruit Tree. It's right now on HBO Max. This tells your whole story. It goes back to your childhood in California, the last part of your career with the Yankees, and you really spill it all out there. So what was it like putting it together?
It was fun, man. It was, we didn't start filming the year with the anticipation of having it be an HBO documentary. We just wanted it to be, some cool home videos. We knew we were coming up with 250 wins, 3,000 strikeouts, and thought it'd be cool to document some of that stuff for my kids, having it for the last season. And, we got halfway through the season and filming everything and thought it'd be cool to kind of tell the whole story. And, I hadn't talked about, my alcohol abuse or, going to rehab or anything like that. And, thought it'd be a good time to kind of dive into that whole story. And, MLB was awesome enough to help us with the footage. And, my wife and Sadie Zillow executive produced everything. So it turned out to be such an authentic and organic documentary that I think that's why it was easy for people to relate to.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a ton in your story that we know, but there was a lot that we don't know. And, one of the big things for you is that something great would happen and something really awful would happen. So when you peel back the layers, what was it like dealing with that from childhood all the way, through becoming an adult man in the major leagues?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to deal with. I mean, and it, in the documentary, we kind of started at, me in high school, but, things like that, I felt like have been happening my whole life. So those are it's just one of those things that I feel like, fans and people don't get to really understand about athletes, that we are human. We do go through, every emotion that you go through, and, we miss people. We have different things that are going on and off the field. I mean, hence with Kyrie Irving, right now we're in the middle of, watching him, battle through everything that's going on, outside of basketball and, with his family and him still trying to navigate a career. So, yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to never have to take those pauses in my career and have them be public while I was playing. But you deal with those struggles all the time. And, that was the point I wanted to make in the doc, is just to let people and fans know that, players, and athletes, we are entertainers. We are here to entertain you and everything, but we do have normal lives and we do go through regular things for sure.
Yeah, everybody's going through something. And obviously, where you come from is a big part of that, too. So, a lot of people know about Vallejo, but for those people that don't know about it, what was most important in terms of your childhood story and really painting that picture of the early part of your life?
I think, Vallejo is an interesting place. It's such a small city. There's, 3, 4, 5 generations of families living there still to this day, same houses. But it's a talented place. It's super small, but I mean, you got two of the best rappers to ever do it to come out of that little city, E40 and Mac Dre. You got some of the best athletes to ever, play in professional sports to come out of that small little city. So it was super motivating. It was one of those places where I didn't have to look far to be motivated. Like, I didn't have to go to an Oakland A's game to be motivated. I can go right down the street and watch Vallejo High School play baseball, and I can see Chris Smith and Jason Shelley and, all these other great athletes that were on their way to doing great things. So, yeah, I mean, it's super unique in the fact that it's really small and everybody knows everybody and we're all basically related, but it's super talented place. And it's easily to be motivated there because there are so many great, athletes and musicians and different things going on, that you just kind of want to be the best in the city. And that's a small goal to start off with. And then it turns out, it ends up, you end up on a larger scale.
And the cool thing is you get to do a little bit of everything. So you were a kid that was playing a bunch of different sports. I got to know, how good was your football game? Because we hear about D1 scholarships, but how good really were you on the field?
I was a really good football player. Basketball wasn't, I had some D1 scholarships, but I wasn't like as talented. But football and baseball I was really good at. Football was harder for me because I had to work at it. Like, I didn't play football as a kid. Obviously, I was a bigger kid, so I didn't get to play Pop Warner. So I didn't start playing football until I was a freshman in high school. So I was behind. I was always trying to catch up, learning different things, and so that was why I wanted to be great at football, was because I never got to play as a kid, and I was always trying to catch up to everybody. So it made me work extra hard at it. But yeah, I definitely could have played. I definitely could have played at the next level. I don't know about the NFL, but I definitely could have played in college.
So, I mean, that would have been awesome. It would have been cool to see. It obviously worked out with baseball, man. And, it was really cool to learn about your relationship with your dad, the great parts of it, the struggles with it. And that's something I'm sure that you're still thinking about today. So, what did you really want people to focus on here with the relationship with your dad? Because listen, at times it wasn't easy. He wasn't in your life. He was sick. He didn't get to see you pitch in pinstripes. So, what did you want people to know about that?
I think I wanted people to understand that, he was a huge part of my life. I think, everybody wants to get caught up in like the single black mom that raised this athlete. And, that's a great storyline, but that wasn't my storyline, so, and in this documentary, we got a chance to tell that story. So, yeah, just for me being able to let people know how big of a role my dad played in my life. And, the reason why I was actually a major league player was because of him. Yeah, we did have our struggles, our ups and downs, but our relationship was great. And to my mom's credit, she made sure our relationship stayed great. And, even through the tough times that she was the only one that was parenting me, she never badmouthed him. And that made me, when we reconnected, not have any ill will towards him. So it just kept our relationship good. And, I have to praise her for that too. But yeah, my dad played a huge role in my life. And I'm glad that, this HBO special was able to tell that part of it.
Yeah, it was cool to see all the different parts of it, and also just your growth and maturation. We see you drafted as a young kid. We see you starting to do your thing in Cleveland. You say in the doc that you became a man in Cleveland. When do you feel like you became a big time major league pitcher? When did that finally click for you, in your opinion?
The second half of 2006, so I was about 6 years in. Did I not feel like I was, in control of everything that was going on out on the field? Whether it was controlling my emotions, controlling the other team, controlling the running game, those different things. I feel like I put it all together. The second half of 2006, honestly, and that's where you kind of see my career take off. And then next year, I win the Cy Young. I get traded the next year. Come here in '09, we win the World Series. So yeah, not 6.5 years is about when I really kind of put it all together and turned into what everybody saw, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, also in there was that Milwaukee run, which some people gloss over, but that was such a big time in your career too. I mean, at that point, what did it feel like going on the mound? We were just like, even your wife says in the doc, like you could have won any start that you're on the mound for.
Yeah, no, that was a good feeling. And like I said, just thinking about those years, 2007, 8, 9, they kind of run all together where, I just was in a zone where, whenever I took the ball, I expected myself to go out, pitch 8, 9 innings and win the game. And, that's a great feeling to be able to go out and, expect yourself to go out and dominate big league hitters, especially, coming here in '09, my first year in pinstripes, and, being able to do it as a Yankee.
Yeah, why don't we talk about 2009? Because you're a West Coast kid, you're thinking maybe you'll sign with the Dodgers, the Angels, you get the big contract in New York. You guys win in your first year. What was most memorable about that first season in the Bronx?
Oh man, it was so much, but I think just us winning. It was a brand new stadium. We had signed a bunch of free agents. It was the first time they had made the playoffs in a long time in 2008. Me and AJ come in and Swish and Tex, and I feel like we just kind of changed the culture of the team, and we were walking people off, and AJ was throwing pies in people's face, and Swish is loud, I'm loud in the clubhouse. It just kind of changed the dynamic of the team in the clubhouse, and I just remember that team being really close. We had a lot of fun. Obviously, everybody knows the end result of us winning the World Series, but that team was one of the closer teams that I played on in New York. From different stories, from A-Rod's birthday party to us going out to dinners and just different things. You realize how special that group was. You get 11 years removed from it.
How did Jeter deal with all these guys being loud and throwing pies in each other's faces?
Oh, he was all for it. I think people had a different perception of what Derek actually was. But yeah, he was all for it, especially if we win. We only threw pies, and AJ, we were only hyped if we were walking people off, and we did a lot that year. We had that magic where, we were coming back. It was a Melky walk off. It was an A-Rod homer. It was all kind of stuff that was going on that year, and yeah, I mean, it just made that for that much more excitement, you know, having that element added to it.
So another part of the documentary is you talking publicly about your alcoholism, really in a big way for the first time. And this was a part of your story for a few years here, and then it became something that you needed to address. So what was the toughest part about reviewing that part of your life now, some years removed from it?
I don't know if there's a really a tough part. I think, you know, it was just for me, it was just like the final I guess addressing of it, you know, to my kids. You know, my kids were really young at the time and didn't really understand what was going on. So to be able to have them kind of, I guess, relive it and, you know, see what was actually going on in mom and dad's life when they were kids, you know, I think helped. And you know, us being able to have a family conversation about, you know, alcoholism and addiction and everything was a big deal. So yeah, I mean, I just in that sense of being able to talk about it and have my kids understand it, you know, that's what I wanted to get across with the doc.
Did you realize also that your deal with alcoholism was different from a lot of other people, that you were able to just binge drink for a couple days and then stop completely and then do it the next few days? Like based on what you've learned now, like that to me seems, pretty unique compared to some other stories.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, just listening to people talk about, you know, how, you know, me being able to kind of detox myself and even, you know, being, you know, even when I went to rehab and I was tell that story and you know, the nurses and stuff would be like, man, you could have killed yourself. You know, like the way I was trying to actually, you know, get the alcohol out of my system so fast. But yeah, I mean, that was a very unique thing, but it was unique just because of the circumstance I was in. You know, I couldn't allow myself to not be able to perform. So this is the way I could functionally drink the way I wanted to drink and still try to go out and pitch. Yeah, it was very unorthodox the way I did it, but and I honestly think it made it easier for me to kind of stop. You know, I've been 5 years sober now, but I think it's because I had those dry spells, you know, at certain times where I could go a couple days. I think it may have helped me a little bit in quitting.
Yeah, and you also realized that when it finally came to the point that you were at the ballpark and it was going to affect your performance, that was the time that you had to deal with it. And it was hard to walk away at that point too. And people had their opinions about you with the Yankees being in the playoffs. What was it like to reflect on that moment? Because you took care of yourself, and like we're talking about with Kyrie Irving, like you need to step away sometimes and really address some things. So, what did it mean to you to just finally put the brakes on it and just tackle a lot of different things in your life at that point?
You know, it meant that I was picking myself over the game, and for so many years I had always picked the game over, you know, my family, my kids, myself, everything. I mean, you know, I would, you know, disregard for my knee, my body, my shoulder. I mean, everything. You know, I mean, my youngest son was born in New York, and I pitched the next day. You know what I'm saying? So like, just different little things where I was always team first and organization first. You know, it came a time where it was time for to put myself first, and you know, to the Yankees' credit, to everybody's credit, Joe Girardi, uh, Brian Cashman, the Steinbrenner family, the whole Yankee organization, they wrapped their arms around me and understood what I was doing at that time, and it just made me feel like I was making even more the right decision by having their support. So yeah, I mean, it was tough to make that decision, but I was literally picking myself over my career, and I had done the opposite my 15 years into that point.
Well, I'm really glad you did that. And it's been cool to see you become a part of the Yankee family in such a huge way. I mean, to play for over a decade in New York is a really special thing. What does that mean to you to be associated with that franchise for the rest of your life?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, to have New York be the place that I played the longest now. I mean, 11 years in pinstripes. I would have never guessed that if you'd have told me that, you know, when I was sitting in the dugout in Cleveland, 2005 or six or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's special to be a part of the Yankee family. Obviously, you know, having the history of, you know, the history of the game kind of coincides with the history of the Yankees, and to be a part of that and to win a championship here. And you know, I got a picture I'm looking at right now is myself, Whitey Ford, Andy Pettit, and Ron Guidry. Like, where can you take another picture like that? You know what I'm saying? If you're not a Yankee, like, it's just so much history. So to be a part of that now, like, it's amazing to have my family a part of that. I mean, it's just a blessing. It's been an incredible a dream journey for sure.
You're somebody who really recognizes history, and you're one of the best pitchers ever to play baseball, but also clearly in the top five of one of the best black pitchers in the history of the game. And you allude to this in the documentary, and Adam Jones calls you the Black Ambassador in baseball. So what does that mean to you when you think about the historic nature of your career?
No, that means a lot. I mean, being the third Black pitcher with 3,000 strikeouts is incredible. And just to think about, me being from Vallejo and like where I came from and everything I had to deal with, like, and to be sitting here now, number 3 on the list of Black pitchers, and I think number 2 on the list of pitchers in the American League. Like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know, it's just weird to have my name associated with like the best in the game, or up there with the best in the game. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I got goosebumps now just thinking about, some of those names that, I'm associated with. It's amazing.